How many of you are Android developers over here? Oh. And how many of you have used maps in your apps, like to build it? It, it must be a quite painstaking job to add APIs in Java, right? Well, Kotlin makes it simple. So talk more about it. Let's see what Meghan has. She will speak about maps in Kotlin. So please welcome her on stage. She is a developer advocate, Google Incorporated, and Kotlin Everywhere Global Initiative.
Hi, everybody. My name is Megan. I'm a developer advocate at Google, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys. And it's my first time in Gujarat, which is cool because I'm Gujarati. And I don't speak Gujarati, but I understand very, very little. So I might understand your conversations. Don't talk shit about me. So today, what are we learning? We're learning Google Maps, and most of all, how to get started with it. You know, get your API key, integrate the Google Map into your app, display different map types, style the Google Map, add markers to the map, and enable the user to put a marker on a point of interest. And we're going to enable location tracking. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a Google Maps project. Seems pretty standard. So let's do it. OK, so we're going to open Android Studio, and we're going to click New Project. And we're going to go down and choose a Google Maps project. And we're going to call it Wander India. Cool. So let's talk about what's happening in the app right now. So when you first download any app in Android Studio, what do you expect to be there already? What classes? Activities, yeah, so main activity, right? So let's look at this version of main activity. So main activity in a maps activity is maps activity. Oh, cool. And so it looks a little different than what your main activity usually would look like. But we do have an OnCreate function, which you would expect. So what the OnCreate function is doing is it's setting the content view with layout activity maps. And let's take a look at that. The layout for activity maps, all it's doing is adding a support map fragment. And that's how we're going to add the map to our app. And we go back, and so here in this map fragment val, we're instantiating the support map fragment. Any class that has a support map fragment in it has to also instantiate the onMapReady callback. And what the onMapReady callback has is one function that you have to implement, and that's called onMapReady. Like, lots of really creative naming here. Oh, yes, yeah, sure. Thank you for calling that out. Is that better? OK, cool. So the onMapReady function is called when the map is ready. And what it has is it has a correct Google map. So up here, you can see that there is a Google Map variable. And here, we're going to instantiate it as the map that's passed in during onMapReady. We also have a value called Sydney with a latitude-longitude object giving us the latitude and longitude of Sydney, Australia. We're adding a marker there, and we're moving the camera there. Awesome. So when we run this app, we're expecting to see a map of Sydney with a marker, a map of Australia with a marker on Sydney, right? But if I run it right now, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, I need an API key. Cool, let's get an API key. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Google Maps API.xml. What you have here is this really, really, really long link. And this really, really long link has a lot of information. So one of the pieces of information it has is that this is an Android API key. You have the fact that it's a client side. And then you have this combination of letters and numbers, which are your SHA. And then you have the name of your package. Cool. So we're going to copy that. And we're going to go into our browser, and we're going to pass it in. Cool, so it gives you the opportunity to create a project, and because it had all that information already, you don't need to pass it anything. It knows everything about your app. So press continue. Wait a little bit. Okay, it's enabling the API. That's what we want. And create an API key, which will also take a second. Wee. Cool. So we have an API key created, and now the next thing we're going to want to do is restrict the key. So let's tap on that. The internet's moving slowly. So applications restrictions, you only want this to be used on Android apps. And then you do want to restrict your key. You want to restrict your key to only be using Maps SDK. And save. So we're going to try running this. It could take up to 5 minutes to settle in. So let's see if it works. And if it works, then awesome. And if not, we'll just go on to the next part, and then we'll come back and see it working. Let's try it. Okay. Okay, guys, we learned how to do this whole visor thing. But look, we have a map of Australia with a marker on Sydney. Amazing. Cool. Okay, so we just got an API key. And then, so if you don't know what an API key is, it uniquely identifies your usage of the API in terms of things like billing and the way that you use it. People can misuse APIs, and that's why we have to have a unique identifier for each person that uses an API. And it's tied to a digital certificate, but there's 2 different types. The first one is a debug release. And so that's kind of like what you would use if you're just like kind of playing around with the app by yourself. It's only going to be like used very locally. It's insecure by design, so you won't want to push anything out like that because somebody else can use your API key, abuse it. If you have billing on it, they can rack up a bunch of money. You don't want that to happen. But if you do want to release something on the Google Play Store, then you would use a release certificate. The SDK tools can build it for you, or the key tool can build that for you. And this is for when you want to release your app into the world. Quick thing about refactoring maps. So right now, this variable is called mmap, but by Kotlin naming standards, we'd probably want it to just be called map. So I'm going to refactor it. We're going to right-click on it, and we're going to press rename. Notice that there's an mmap here, an mmap here, an mmap here, and an mmap here. So instead of renaming all of them, I'm just going to refactor it all together using the refactor rename, and all of them are now map. Wow. Okay, so Google Maps has several types of maps. There's the normal one that we just saw, there's hybrid, there's satellite, and there's terrain. And it just depends on what kind of app you're going to make. So if you have an app that's like a driving app that you'd want to know street signs and directions like that, you'd probably want to do normal. If you have a map that's kind of like outdoorsy, hiking, something like that, you'd probably want terrain. So it's all up to you and what kind of app you want, but whatever your app is doing, you want to choose the best map for you. In our case, we're going to use all of them by creating a menu. So, oh my God. So we're going to create an options menu. What we're going to do is we're going to go to res, we're going to go to new Android resource files, and we're going to make something of type menu. We're going to call it map options. And I'm going to put some code in, and then we're going to talk about it. OK, let's look at this code. So what we have here are 4 different items, and they have an ID, a title, and like an app action. So we're setting the ID to normal map, and this is how we'll identify it in other parts of the code. And we have a title that says normal map. And so this is in our strings file, as we can see, because it's saying string/normal map. So when you go to the strings file, you can see that normal map is just tied to something that says normal map. Easy, logical. So when we display our menu, normal map will be displayed as that, and then if we want to refer to this item, we'll refer to it as normal_map. But what is an OnCreate options menu? This initializes the content of the map, of the menu, and inflates it for you. So we're going to override OnCreate options menu in our maps activity. So in this override, what we're doing is we're instantiating an inflator, and we're inflating map_options. Let's run the code and see what happens. Wow, look at this. A menu. Wow, let's press it. Wow. It's exactly what we thought it would be. So what do you think is going to happen if I click hybrid map, terrain map, or satellite map? Nothing. Why nothing? The menu will get closed? Okay, but why else would it be nothing? Yeah, let's do that now. So the next thing we're going to do is override on options item selected. That's a mouthful. Okay, so in this code, we're going to be working with the item IDs that we set. So with the item ID normal map, what we're doing is we're setting maps, map type to Google Map, map type normal. So what this is just doing is this is just saying if any of these are clicked, what to change the map type to. And let's try it. Da-na-na-na. Okay, we're going to click satellite map. Wow. A satellite map. Let's click terrain map. Wow, a terrain map. Terrain map doesn't look too different from normal map when it's zoomed out, but when it's zoomed in, you can see it a little better. And then let's look at hybrid map. So a hybrid map is kind of like satellite map plus standard map together. Cool, cool, fun, fun. And so the next thing we want to do is add markers. So in order to add markers, we have to talk about onMapReady. So onMapReady is triggered when the map is ready to be used. We talked about that already. And another important thing is it's only going to be triggered if you have Google Play services installed. If you don't have it installed, it'll be like, hey, install this, and then you install it, and then it'll be good. You'll see everything. So right now in our onMapReady, we see that we have a marker for Sydney. We're adding that marker, we're moving that camera, but Sydney doesn't mean a lot to us right now, right? So where should we add the marker? Should we add it here, or should we add it to the Googleplex? What do you guys think? Thoughts? All right, we're gonna add it to the Googleplex. Okay, so we're gonna delete this code because we don't wanna add a marker to Sydney. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna find the latitude and longitude of the Googleplex. So the way to find the latitude and longitude that's like really quick and dirty is you type in Googleplex into the Google Maps, you right-click on the pin, you click what's here, and then down here will display the latitude and longitude. Right down here you can click it, and it'll show you bigger if you want it that way. So you're going to create a variable for both latitude and longitude just for code cleanliness. And then you're going to create a lat_long value, and a lat_long value is just a way to keep your latitude and longitude of an object together. And you're going to set the zoom level to 15 and move the camera there. So zoom level, let's talk about that. Zoom level works on a 1 to 20 scale. So 1 is the entire world, 20 is super granular, you'll see buildings. And so this is everything between. We're going to start with 15, and then we'll look at 20, and we can look at 10, like whatever you guys want to do. So right now it's set at 15, so we have our latitude and longitude. We're saving it into an object. We're setting the zoom level as 15F, and we're telling the map to move its camera there. And we're going to run it. Whoa, it's the Googleplex. This is where I work, guys. Right here, in that building right there. Cool. So now we've moved the camera there, but we also want to add a marker. So in our onMap ready, the next thing we're going to do is map.add marker. And what are we going to pass into that? We're going to pass in a marker options object, which is where you can define things like the color of the marker, what icon you want to be displayed as the marker, all kinds of things like that, but most importantly, you can display the position of the marker, so that tells where the marker goes. And we're gonna play. Cool. We have a map. It's displaying the Googleplex, and it has an icon on the Googleplex. Awesome, that's what we wanted, yay! So the next thing we're going to talk about is onMap Longclick. So onMap Longclick is if I have a map, and let's say I'm a photographer, and I see over there is the most beautiful place I ever could imagine to take a picture, and I want to remember to come back and bring my model or something and take a picture of her there. You want to remember where that place is, so something like onMap Longclick would be very useful there. You know, like you see a place, you want to remember it, you want to come back to it. Cool, let's just long-click, have a marker there, easy. I'll remember that it's there. Maybe if you got like engaged somewhere kind of random and you want to like always remember that place, then you probably want to use something like onMap Longclick. I don't know what's happening on this guy's phone. Okay. Cool. So these are reasons we'd use onMap Longclick. Use your imagination for anything else. Those are the two things I could really think about. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in this function. So we have a Google Map, and the Google Map has all sorts of functions you can add to it, and one of them is a set onMap Longclick listener. So in this Longclick listener, what it'll take is the latitude and longitude of the place that you long-click, and it'll give it to you in this object. Kotlin is smart enough to know that if there's only one object, that it'll give it to you in this format, and you can name it lat long, or you can use the keyword IT. Up to you, any way you want to do it, really concise and clean. So what we're saying is, when you get an onMap Longclick, take the latitude and longitude, add a marker with the position of that latitude and longitude. So when we run the app again, we're expecting to be able to long-click on something and have a marker appear there. Let's see if it works. Wow, guys, look. Amazing. So these are all the places that I got proposed to this year. Wild, right? So the next thing we're going to want to talk about is an onPOI click listener. So an onPOI click listener is when you would put a marker on something like your favorite Starbucks or a restaurant that somebody recommended to you that you want to try. Something like that that has to correlate to a business or a park or something like that. So like if you can see here, like these things are showing up. So Shoreline Golf Links, Shoreline Amphitheater, Google Android lawn statues, all of these places are POIs. So we're going to add a listener, and that listener is going to listen for if we click on a POI, and if so, we're going to put a marker on it. Okay, so our code is pretty similar to our map long click listener, in which we're taking the position and we're setting it to the POI's latitude and longitude. But another thing is that a POI has knowledge about itself that like a normal latitude and longitude, like a normal place wouldn't have knowledge about where it is. But a POI like knows its name and details about the establishment. So we're also going to set the title to be the POI's name. All right, let's click on Shoreline Amphitheater. Wow, a pin. Wow, it shows that it's Shoreline Amphitheater. That's so awesome. Cool. So we're going to do that again with A to Z, tree, specimen, nursery. Doesn't that sound like a weird place? I don't know. I've never been there. Cool. So we're able to drop pins on locations with POIs. We can still use our on-map long click, but for this, I'm just doing a single click, and for long click, I'm holding for like a second. So quick click versus long click. These are different markers. So we went over how to add a marker programmatically here, where we're adding it. So maybe like something like your home or your work, like that's not going to change. You might want to add that programmatically. Something for long click listener and something for POI click listener. I feel like I should hurry up. So, okay, up to you guys. I have about half an hour before I have to go to the airport. Would you rather me go over one more topic, or would you rather me answer questions right now? Just like about maps, Google, San Francisco, any other questions you might have for me? Let me know, guys. What? Next topic, okay. Okay, I'm gonna do another topic, and then I'll stand around for about 15 minutes if anyone wants to come up and ask me questions. Okay, let's go into styling your map. So this is super fun. So Google Maps has a styling wizard, and let's say you have an app that's a very retro themed or very dark themed, and then you have your Maps app and it's like normal Maps colors. So the themes would clash a bit. So to combat that, we have this styling wizard, which is very fun. So this shows you what the map would look like in normal mode. But you can change it around in all these different ways. So this is silver, retro, dark, night, aubergine. So they have all their own style layouts, and you can also create your own. But let's just choose retro for now. It's very fun and groovy. And then there's all these different types of features that you can choose to customize yourself as well. So if we go here and we go to, let's say, road, and let's say fill. So let's fill all the roads with a color, and I'm going to choose pink because I like pink. And we're going to finish. So what this gives us is a JSON file, and this JSON file has all the styling in it for us, which is great. We don't have to worry about doing all this JSON stuff. Awesome. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a directory for raw files. Just call it raw. And then in here, we're going to create a file for our JSON, and we're going to call it map style. Cool. And, oh, that's not what I wanted to copy in. I'm going to copy this JSON and paste it in. Okay? Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function called setMapStyle. We're going to, I know you're angry. And before that, we're going to create a tag, which is annoying. Okay, let's talk about the setMapStyle. So what the setMapStyle is doing is it's trying to load up this file that I say is there. So what it's going to try to do is it's trying to take the map and call setMapStyle on it using mapstyle options. And it's trying to load a raw resource style. So we created that raw folder, and in it is maps_style.json. And so here we're trying to load up map_style. If it doesn't work, it'll log something out for us. And if something goes, if it's not there, then it'll go into this catch block. But it is there. I have spelled it correctly. And let's play. Okay, wait for it to become clearer. But look, we have a retro map with pink roads. And now you can style your map to be anything you want. You could have a rainbow map or a silver map. It's up to you. So I'm going to end my talk there just so there's time for people to ask me questions. I'll address something right away. My email is magicalmegan@google.com, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll actually put this on the screen. This is my email. That's my name, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a ton of resources if you guys are interested in doing more Android. And if you have questions about anything after this, if you're not able to ask me your question before I have to go to the airport, you can contact me on LinkedIn or through my email. Something I'd like to suggest for you guys to use as a resource is developing Android apps with Kotlin. It's a completely free course on Udacity. My team makes it, so if you take it, and if there's something you love about it or something you hate about it, you can email me. And I know everyone that makes it, so I can yell at them if it's something you hate, or I can give them a cookie if it's something that you loved. If you're new to Kotlin, I would also like to recommend Kotlin Bootcamp. Kotlin Bootcamp is also made by my team. It's basically a way to learn Kotlin if you haven't learned it before. All the things that make it powerful, all the things that make it great. I swear, if you take this and you don't fall in love with Kotlin, I don't really know what to say, because Kotlin's really great, and this course is a really good way of making it known. And a bonus if you take developing Android apps with Kotlin is you can see me dressed up in a garbage cape. So, I mean, like, why would you not take this course, guys? Okay, so that's it for me. Please email me. Please add me on LinkedIn. And I'm around for about 15 minutes. So come ask questions if you have them. Oh, wait. I want to take a selfie with everybody. Can you hand me my phone? My phone's right there. Whoa. Another one! Awesome, yay, thank you.